the low on the Nifty, 18,409. That's got defended, and we have bounced closer on 35 points from there. We're at around 3 p.m., so we can see a bit of a swing now in either which direction. Let's see how that goes, but we're almost there. So let's see whether or not the low of the day has been made, and we see a bit of a bounce up from these levels. But we have broken a crucial support zone. That's the 20 DMA, and we're trading 80 points below that level. Good time to get in Pashupati Advani of Global Foray, who joins in to have a quick chat. Hi, Mr. Advani. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, it's been a good year for the markets, given the kind of challenges. And the banking names have done very, very well. What's your view out there? Is it getting overcrowded? Are valuations almost, priced in most of the positives? And do you expect a bit of a correction from here? Or do you believe it's still time to jump on?
Well, I've not been a big believer in the banking sector, only because I think that there are problems down the road. But for this second half of 2022, it's been good for the banks because liquidity also has come into the system, and the NPAs have obviously got a lot better. Their realizations and all have actually happened. They'd written off loans down to zero. They got some realizations, so that's also helped the indexes in a big way. So, but I just feel that there is going to be some kind of shake-up in the banking system. It's not going to be dire, but it's going to be sort of like some of the weaker players are going to get marginalized, and some of the stronger players are going to come out ahead. That's why you've seen State Bank. I mean, the SBI, for example, is up almost more than double this year, almost 3 times. And it's been the leader of the whole pack, and it's been very good. But now we're going to have fintech banks, we're going to have new licenses, we're going to have new players. So let's see what happens. But at the end of it all, I'm not so wild about the banking space as others are, but it's also a large part of the index. So we can't forget about that. Nigel?
Pashupati, words like, you said shake out, right? Sounds, but you also said nothing dramatic. So I think... Well, let's hope not a very large shakeout. By the way, the I highlighted this in the when we started. The PSU Bank Index is down 1.5%. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because it's gone up 10 days in a row, and today with the rest of the market that is coming up, that has been Pashupati, in a way, in lots of ways, right? In this small cap, mid cap kind of, this was the last kind of, in a way, value sector, if I can use that word. Paper, sugar, textile, I'm sure I'm missing out a few others, and now PSU banks. Is it, yeah, go on.
So again, it's like when the whole market is moving upwards, and, certainly there's been a sort of nice wind following the Indian market. All the good sectors move up first, and then the not so good sectors play catch up, and that's what we've seen. And the Nifty PSU Bank Index is probably the last sector to have jumped up. As you said, the last 10 days they've had plus. So today they're having some minus. But I think there are too many banks. You're also getting fintech banks coming into the space. Counters are becoming less relevant because of electronic banking, and so there's going to be huge disruption in this sector. And I don't know whether it's going to be banks or banks and brokers or banks and kiranas. Who knows who's going to come out of all this? But I think that there's definitely going to be some fallout, and some of the weaker players are going to have some issues. And it's also done because they did not done proper due diligence in giving the loans, and those loans will not get repaid back. And particularly, I see the area where this is most occurred is in white goods, where there seems to be, I would call it cowboy country. But let's see what happens. Prashant?
All right, we take that point, Pashupati. You haven't liked IT in the recent past, and we have seen the declines that we've seen in these stocks. They have underperformed and continue to underperform. At what point will you start liking them? When do they become attractive? That's point number one. And secondly, you said that you like hospitals and diagnostics instead. Are you still bullish on that?
Yeah, no, okay, so let me answer the first question. The IT stocks, the issue is that we have to change the business model. A lot of the companies are looking inwards globally, so they are moving their IT spend to local companies. And there's been a big movement on that. And we are obviously, our Indian companies who are in the US have had all sorts of problems penetrating. And that's why and the US has been the biggest market for us. Europe has also been a strong market, but not as strong as the US. And we're seeing that in the push on all the big and the second-tier IT names. Regarding hospitals, yeah, we've got a huge population. Everyone's getting sick, and everyone has money to be able to pay for better quality hospitalization. And likewise, with COVID, the diagnostics had gone nuts because people were taking COVID tests. Now people are taking normal tests. So there is some slight pullback in that, but I think that it's going to be back to business as usual. But hopefully, no COVID tests. Okay. So very few COVID tests because hopefully COVID is much more marginalized.
Just hope the worst of that, and we never ever go through a phase like that, Mr. Advani. But let's talk about the cement space. Plenty of excitement out there. We've got a new, entrant who's picked up ACC in Ambuja. That's the Adani Group. What's your view on this space? At one point of time, everyone was hoping for consolidation. My fear is that suddenly people start growing organically. That'll be a bit of an issue. I mean, how do you approach the space?
In the Adani case, actually, I think it's very synergistic to their business because at the same time as having bought the cement companies, he's also got Dharavi, which is like some crores of square feet. So he's got lots of building to do. So his own captive will probably sort that out. But, that apart, you are seeing some consolidation. And I think there is going to be interesting things to do in the mid-cap space where mid-cap cement stocks are trading cheaper than, large-cap cement stocks. So therefore, there will be some consolidation in that space. India Cements, for example, which you've just flashed on your screen, has a large... the large street investor has taken a large position in it, and he's taken it probably 6 months to a year ago. So he's not a fool. He's far from it. He's one of the richest guys in India. So I think there is something, and we are doing infrastructure. The government is on the front of infrastructure spend, and cement is in the front of it. And now with Adani, who has a very favored relationship with the government also in the space, there's obviously going to be a lot more infra spend, and that's good for all the cement companies. Right. Most of all, which would be his.
All right, take that point. Always a pleasure speaking with you, Pashupati. As we speak, the market post 3 p.m. hasn't really moved much, apart from the bit of a spike that we saw from